Good morning. It's Friday the 28th, New Year's Eve weekend. That's my son who what's your New Year's resolution? Do you know what that is? It's a promise that you
Okay,
make to yourself.
fine.
Okay. Do you have an idea? You can interrupt me when you think of it. So
I think
Valkyrie of Desire. Valkyrie of Desire.
maybe
Editing
oh yeah.
update.
I am going to. My promise is that I will shoot my father, this person, in the crotch 1,000 times with a Nerf gun.
Maybe. All right. So, Valkyrie of Desire, editing update. My short story will be the Colgrevance rescue series. I'll talk a little bit about that. Writing tip: how to work with critiques from Scribophile. Talk about the game session. Just finished an arc. This is the virtual tabletop game that I run. And then do a little short story time, a treasured item from my childhood. So, Valkyrie of Desire, I've been going through and editing to help readers picture, visualize the physique of my main character and secondary characters, chapter by chapter. I don't want to presume that readers will be able to maintain the visualization from early descriptions, especially if I go a few chapters without thinking about that. Of course, I've got a good idea in my head. I can't. It's that it's very important to try to see what the readers will get from the immersion and get out of your own head as a writer, because the characters are real. They're alive in me, and there's so much more that I have in my notes and all the background and other stories that I have and haven't written that readers just don't get. So I have to constantly think, okay, if they have no idea, if it's been a long time since they've picked up the book. So and it's a great opportunity. I'm multiple birds with one stone to enrich the scene. Why is Hildr sitting on another character with a damp behind? She happens to leave a heart-shaped print on the man's chest, and that gives an idea of what her butt looks like without being too explicit. It's an opportunity. So I don't look at it as, I try not to look at it as a chore, but as an opportunity to enrich the scenes, to give more descriptions and chapter by chapter, scene by scene, and don't just presume that old descriptions will stick in readers' minds. So that's something I'm going through and trying to work on through all my chapters. So new chapters will be a bit delayed. Short story, I've started on Colgrevance's rescue, the Don Quixote based character coming back from his windmill to try to save his friends. I will try to have one done this week. Throw it up on the Scribophile queue, hopefully before next Friday update, or just after. And then the writing tip relates to what I said about Valkyrie of Desire, that it was a critique that I got from a Scribophile user that I appreciate his opinion a lot. So I went back to the beginning and started following his advice as best I could. And with Scribophile, since they're not typically professional editors, you you it's great to build relationships with your reviewers and review their work in exchange, get a sense of what kind of reader and editor they are, so you know when to listen to them and maybe when not to listen to them. And a great strength of Scribophile versus other avenues of editing your work, I think, is the diversity of opinion, the diversity of approaches, and I like to, before editing a piece, get at least 3 different people critiquing a chapter, let's say. And you know, don't be afraid to stick to your guns, but if 3 people are saying the same thing, take a step back, think about it for a while, and maybe reconsider, even if it really makes sense to you. Maybe reconsider, not necessarily reconsider. Let's see, game session. Oh my gosh, it was an amazing. I'm very, very proud of myself and the party. It was kind of a win-win, where win for me is good story told. I've laid the groundwork for some horrible things to happen to the party later. This is the Roll20 virtual tabletop game with 9 active players and usually at least 6 or 7 in any single game session. And this last one, it was a fantastic arc that finished. I hope to have as much of it translated into short stories to share, but I can speak more about it as I kind of think through all the implications. But basically, the party has a daughter, a newborn, and a very convoluted way that this came about, not entirely natural. Story time. Keep this brief. I was like, write what you know, and digging deep into the winters from years past, from a childhood. There's a sled, an orange sled. It was simple, unbreakable, fast, light, and I've never seen its like since. I used that thing for years. I was in the backyard, very incredibly steep backyard of a friend. We both got on and we just went. We just, like the Dumb and Dumber on the back of the motorcycle, we just let it go. And we slid down so fast. We lost control. It was his backyard ended in a forest. The hill didn't end. His backyard ended, and we went right on through the border of his property into the forest, and we closed our eyes and we hit a tree. I thought it was going to be dead on. I closed my eyes. Maybe he kept his eyes open, but we didn't stop. The thing, it was such a perfect sled. We just hit that tree and just a little bit off center, and we just went. We just kept going and crashed. But it was so awesome. I love that sled. My father was mad at me for something. I don't know. I was a little older, and it was in the summer, and he picked up that sled that was sitting outside because I just left it outside. It was indestructible. It was perfect. But he just picked it up and slammed it as hard as he could on the fence. And there was a little discoloration, and he was so impressed by the sled that he was kind of looked at it, lost his anger. So my sled was fine, and he wasn't mad anymore. And I think it ended up, we moved a lot. I think it ended up just being left behind somewhere as things are. As parents, will find ways to get rid of your stuff as a kid, great treasures. And I tried to replace this sled. I looked on Amazon, and I thought I got something that might work. It didn't, but no, it broke. I don't think I'll ever get that sled back. And it was more than just a treasured memory. That was a true treasure, and I took it for granted, and I let it go. I let it slip away. I should have kept it forever. I should have passed it on to my son. All I have are the memories and the words. See you next week.